What's up and welcome to the episode Out of Sight, Out of Mind. This episode for me is such a... Well, let's just get into it. I actually really love this episode. It's another episode like the last couple episodes where it's kind of just like a throwaway plot. But this one has so much potential, so much fun. So there are little parts of it that annoy me a little bit. We'll get into that. It's mainly the clue. Irks me, but we'll get to that. It has one of the most fun premises. If you know anything about Buffy, you know that it's, especially the first 3 seasons, was very much the metaphor that high school is hell. And I don't think there's a single episode in the first 3 seasons that nailed the theme of high school is hell better than this episode. This episode hammers home that plot to such a degree that you can't miss it. So what's the plot? All right. The episode starts with we're in class. You're always gonna love the episodes that start in class, and they're answering questions. This episode has some of the best lines I think in the entire show. It's just such genius lines. But we really get to know Cordelia in this episode too. Like, my issue with the last episode was they had all this stuff that could have potentially been character moments that would expand on later episodes, and then they never really do anything with it. This episode sets a lot up with Buffy and Cordelia and Angel. All 3 of them really have a lot of character moments in this episode that gets expanded as the show goes on. And even in Angel, Cordelia and Angel on their own show have some of these plot lines expanding out further. So it's very much, this episode does what the last episode should have done, and it does it better. There's so much to work with here that gets expanded upon, which will bring us to my only annoyance with this episode. We'll get to that at the end. But the first scene right out the bat, they're talking about literature and books and all that. I forgot the story that they were referencing, but Cordelia's talking literally like, oh my god, he's just so upset. But it just irks me how everyone acts like what happened to them is so bad. Like this one time, I was driving and I hit this guy just a little bit. I hit this lady just a tad with my car, and she was making it all about her leg. But it was the most traumatic moment of my life. I'm like, what the fuck? So basically, she hit someone with her car, and the person had the audacity to be like, you fucking hurt my leg. And Cordelia's like, how dare you? I'm traumatized. I hit you. Don't you just love Cordelia? She's easily, I think, she's my favorite character. After her and Spike are my 2 favorite characters in the Buffyverse. But the growth that Cordelia has, I mean, at this point in the show, you're kind of like, this girl is annoying as hell. But even when she's annoying as hell, she's funny. Like, the fact that she's upset that someone was bothered that she hit him with the car is astonishing to me. I love that she actually takes an active part in class discussions. They're already hinting at that she's not stupid. She's not this ditzy blonde that everyone... I mean, she's not blonde, you know, but she's not this ditzy character that everyone thinks she's just a dumb cheerleader. She has depth. She has intelligence. Now, she doesn't act on the intelligence. She tends to hide it a little bit, but it's there. This episode also starts to show you that she has compassion and that she cares about people. And I think that these are all, like I said, man, these are all little things that they'll build on as the show goes on. Which is why Cordelia becomes, I mean, she starts off as this vapid, shallow character. And she ends as, well, we'll get all that. But she does end as one of the most well-rounded characters in the entire Buffyverse. And she definitely, I would argue, has the most growth. I mean, it's between her, Spike, and Wesley, in my opinion. But we see that she's preparing for the dance, and we also get some more insight into Buffy. So while Cordelia's preparing for the dance, Xander and Willow are mocking her. And one thing that does kind of fade away as the show goes on is Xander and Willow's inside jokes. I always love it. I think it's cute, it's adorable. Me and my friends all have inside jokes. I'm sure you guys and your friends all have inside jokes. It's the most real thing. And to be the outsider in a group that's having inside jokes is so awkward and uncomfortable. And Sarah Michelle Gellar nails that like, well, this sucks. Like, I hate you all. Like, she just nails it. Her being the odd man in Xander and Willow's friendship. That, like, no matter how close she is with them, they have this history that she's just not a part of. All the while dealing with the fact that the life that she built for herself back in LA is gone, and she doesn't have that life here. And she'll never have that life here. And that's a hard thing for her to wrap her head around. And I find it, I love the way that they played it, the way that they set it up, the way that they nailed it. And this episode does so much with so little. Like, they never nail these things home, but it's just such small character moments that keep building. Another good one would be Angel, when he comes up in a little bit. But then Cordelia's jock boyfriend, a baseball player, gets attacked by a bat in the locker room. A flying bat that just attacks him. And it's pretty cool for 90s effects, done pretty well. The Invisible Man stuff, even if you watch the old Universal Monsters movie, for some reason doing invisibility has always been the best, easiest like gag to do, and they pull it off so well. But we have Harmony. Harmony's in this episode. You gotta love Harmony. See, she really is the ditzy dumb one, and I love Harmony. Anytime Harmony's in an episode, I get excited. But the boyfriend gets attacked, and here's where things start. Like I say, some of the best lines. So the guy's coming out, and Snyder's like, "No one's dead. You're all morbid. He's fine." Dude's getting carried out in a stretcher. Buffy stops him and asks him what happens. Now keep in mind, 2 minutes before this dude thought Buffy was a loser, and now he's explaining to her what happened to him. Things like that always, like, really? I'm so glad when they get away from the let's solve a crime aspect of the show, you know? But I do love that Buffy's like, I'm gonna go check it out. And she walks right past Snyder to try to go into the locker room. Like, it's a crime scene. You think the principal's not gonna stop you from walking into an active crime scene? Where was Buffy's head at? The fact that she just thinks that no one's gonna say anything to her is astonishing. So of course, Snyder stops her. And her excuse was like, oh, he wanted his coat. It's his favorite coat. I'm just going to go get his coat. And Snyder goes, with a complete straight face, he doesn't need his coat. He needs medical attention. You're not going in an active crime scene. And the way he delivers it is just, I don't know, it had me cracking up. He's such a great actor. If you're a Star Trek fan, watch Deep Space Nine. He plays Quark. Genius. Pure genius. The man is such a talented actor, and he should be doing so much more. He should be in everything. Then Xander and Willow start saying that the dude's gonna sue, so Snyder runs over there, and it lets her in. And we get the first clue. As Buffy's looking around the locker room, we get the first clue. Look. The clue says look. This is important. One of the two things that annoy me on this episode, we'll get to. So then we start trying to figure it out, and we start trying to figure out what's going on. Harmony then gets tossed down the stairs, and we're like, okay, so there's an invisible girl here. Like, it becomes pretty evident, and we actually start seeing flashbacks of her in class and how everyone ignores her. They ignore her in class. They ignore her in the bathroom when she's trying to joke around with Cordelia and her friends. Nobody acknowledges this poor girl. And it is kind of sad to be on the outside and to be so ignored and so overlooked. And that has to be hard, which, like I said, why this show does so well. And that's really the metaphor for this whole episode, is being overlooked, being invisible, being on the outside looking in. And they play it so well with Buffy. Xander and Willow have inside jokes. She's not a part of it. She sees Cordelia being treated like a princess, And she used to be that. She used to be the princess, and now she's nobody. And she misses that. And she wants it, and like part of her wants it back. Part of her has accepted her new life and is happy with her new life. But part of her is like, I miss being somebody. Which is ironic, because I mean, she's a Slayer, she's important. But you know what I mean. You know what she's missing, what she's looking for, what she doesn't have. It's just this feeling of otherness. You also get it with Angel. Angel goes and talks to Giles. He's worried about Buffy. He's worried about the Master, about the Fate and all that. And Giles is looking for a book that could help him learn more about the fate of the Slayer. And Angel's like, I can get it. But while all this is happening, like that's the important season-long thing in this episode, moving the story forward for the whole story, for the whole season. But the little thing is, Angel's looking in the mirror. Angel and Giles are talking about how he has no reflection. And Angel talks about how it's not a gift to be unseen. It's not a great power to look in the mirror and see nothing staring back. That it's lonely and there's an emptiness there. And it's enough to drive you mad. And it really is like, it hammers home the central story in such a way that's so subtle, but also so potent. And you gotta love the writing. The writing in this episode is so brilliant. So then the teacher's attacked. Miss Miller, she gets attacked. She's the teacher who's helping Buffy. And the next clue is listen. So now we have two clues. And this is where I get annoyed. Look and listen are the two clues. Obviously, the third clue is learn. Look, listen, learn. Like, that's the expression. That's the saying. Everybody knows that expression. Buffy, Willow, Xander, Giles, none of them get this. Look, and listen. What could the third one be? And it's like, come on. Everybody knows this expression. That's the one major irkness of this episode is like, you knew what the third one was going to be. It's not that hard. It's not rocket science. Everybody knows it. Rocket science. It's not a rocket science. But whatever. It's a minor, pesky annoyance, but we can move past it. Buffy and them figure out, oh, it's this girl Marcy. No one knows her. I mean, they do a pretty good job of putting it all together. Xander does research and is actually pretty good at it, even though he doesn't want to do it. But it's do research or talk to Cordelia, and he has no desire to talk to Cordelia. Which is funny, because one of the best relationships in the entire show, for my money, is Xander and Cordelia. And to this day, I'm so annoyed that they never reconciled. I don't want them back together necessarily. I do think Cordelia belongs with Angel. I know, blasphemy. But if any character was to go back to Sunnydale, or any character from Sunnydale to go to LA, it should have been Xander Cordelia. They should have had one moment years later to reconnect. And not get back together, not anything like that. But just to see how much each of them have grown. I always think that was a missed opportunity. It was something that should have happened, and I thought it would have been great for both of the characters. But sadly, never happened. Xander never goes to LA, and Cordelia never goes back to Sunnydale. But I do like that he's so like you, Cordelia, with everything that happens next season. It's fun. Although at this point in the show, you don't know that's going to happen. You have no thought of it because Cordelia doesn't even know Xander exists. She thinks these people are scum. But I do love that the second Cordelia's in trouble, the second she puts it all together, that this is all about her, which is not hard for her to do because she thinks everything's about her. So this one time, she happened to be right. She goes running to Buffy for help. And Buffy helps her. Buffy's a hero. She's a good person, so of course she's going to help her. I do like that even when Buffy's trying to help her, Cordelia's rude to her. Like, when were you popular? Is that when you started acting all weird and being creepy? Like, just no filter. Just says whatever thought comes in her head, she says out loud. Luckily, that is something that she outgrows. But you do gotta... I love that about her. It's so earnest, you know? But before she goes into the closet to change, I do love that her and Buffy are talking. And Cordelia says something that is so profound. Buffy's explaining how Marcy became invisible and how no one sees her, no one acknowledges her, and she felt so invisible that she became invisible. And Cordelia's like, she connects with that. She's like, I know how that feels. I feel that way all the time. And Buffy's like, how do you feel that way? You're the most popular girl in school, yada, yada, yada. And Cordelia's like, but just because all these people are around me doesn't mean they see me. Doesn't mean they know anything about me. I'm popular, so they want to be around me. I can be surrounded by people and still feel completely alone. And that is something that I've always felt. Like, even when I'm with people, a lot of times I feel like, am I really here? Like, if I were to leave, would it matter? Would anyone notice? Which I know is insane. I have a lot of great friends who love me, and it's a weird thought. But there is a part of me that has always felt like I'm not central to this. And Cordelia explaining that, like, it just, I don't know, it affected me. Every time I hear her explain that, it's something I connect to. It's something that I relate to. And I'm like, I understand what she's saying. And to me, it's kind of profound. You don't have to agree, but to me, it is. It resonates with me. While all this is happening, Xander, Giles, and Willow get locked into the basement with the gas leak going on. Marcy straight up tries to kill them to keep them from stopping her. Like, she's just escalated to murder. She tried to kill Miss Miller. Now she's trying to kill them. Marcy don't give a fuck no more. Like, the first dude, she beat him up with a bat. Harmony, she threw down some stairs. She wanted to hurt them, but not necessarily kill them. Miller, she tried to murder. And now these three people who didn't even do anything to her, she's trying to kill. Like, this bitch is going off the deep end. Luckily, Angel shows up to give Giles the book, and he saves them, gets them out of the room, and then goes in and turns off the gas. But if Angel wasn't dropping that book off for Giles, Marcy almost killed the Scoobies without even really trying. Something that really no other villain has really managed to pull off, at least not that easily. Like, as a side note on her plan, she almost wiped out the Scoobies. Just think about that for a moment. It's crazy. She captured Cordelia in the closet, and then Buffy goes to save Cordelia, and she knocks Buffy down. Buffy falls through the ceiling, and then she injects her with a thing and puts her to sleep. And Buffy and Cordelia wake up, and they see learn, which was obviously the third word. It was always going to be the third word. Look, listen, learn. Duh. Whatever. It annoys me because you couldn't go to school in the 90s without seeing that plastered everywhere. Look, listen, learn. It's like they drilled it into your head in school, especially at least in California. Everywhere you went, they drilled that into your head. So, a school in California, Southern California, of course, Buffy and Cordelia and Willow and Giles, like, they all should have known what that was. It's a pet peeve, but it's always bothered me. It has. Buffy manages to get free, but we find out Marcy's big plan before she does, which is just to scar Cordelia's face so that everyone will always remember her and remember her as being terrifying and hideous and a monster. Literally, that's her plan, to fuck up Cordelia's face. But Buffy gets free. Buffy, she does the thing they always do in movies where she's like, I will hear you and I will fight the sound. And she takes Marcy out. I forgot. So that brings us to something that happens, but I forgot to set it up. Earlier in the episode, Cordelia obviously wins May Queen. And her speech was genius. She goes up and Snyder announces her as a winner. She walks up and she goes, I just want to thank you all for the love you've shown me. It's not easy being this popular, but I do it for all of you, and I'm glad you noticed. Just like, what? Like, she is so self-involved. It's insane. But while she's giving her speech, there's these two weird guys in suits watching her. And Xander's like, did she get bodyguards? Like, what's going on? So after Buffy stops Marcy, those two guys rush into the bronze And they're like, oh, we'll take it from here. We're FBI agents. We got this. We'll take her. And so they take Marcy and they walk her out. Cordelia thanks Buffy. The next day at school, Cordelia thanks Buffy. Giles gets Willow and Xander to lie to Buffy about how they got out of the basement. He doesn't want her to know that Angel's been to see him because Angel told him, like, I can't see Buffy. It's too hard on me. The feelings I have for her and all yada yada yada. And he's like, oh, a slayer and a vampire in love. How romantic. How modern. How modernly romantic. Never mind the 200 or some year age difference. But Angel doesn't want Buffy to know that he's trying to help her. So Giles keeps it a secret and he gets Xander and Willow to do the same. The book plays a big part in the next episode. But at the end of this episode is the other thing that annoys me. And it's not an annoying, it's like, this is bad. It's annoying, it's like, why? It's the second time this season where they set something up and then they don't do anything with it. If you remember the praying mantis episode, at the very end of the episode, the eggs are hatching. Now you could write that off as the praying mantises hatch and then go to other schools. Like, okay, fine. But you set up that the FBI uses invisible people as assassins, and we never hear from it again. Even if you don't do anything on Buffy about it, that could have easily been a Wolfram and Hart plot. Like over on Angel, you could have done something with it. They don't even do anything with it in the comic books. The only time that I can think of, I haven't read all of the Buffy comic books or read all of the Buffy novels, so maybe it is touched again. I've read all of the official canon stuff. So like seasons 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all that, all the Angel After the Fall and all that. I've read all that. Nothing in there is touched on it. Maybe in some of the old Dark Horse comics or in some of the novels they touched on it. I don't know. But in none of the official stuff or any, they've never touched on it again. And it's insane to me. It's like, how have you not touched on that? As far as I can remember, the only time that the invisible thing has been touched on again is in season 7. There's an episode, I'm drawing a blank on the name of the episode off the top of my head, where all the different weird things at Sunnydale High start happening all at once. Like everything's happening. And some dude is like literally turning invisible and Buffy stops and goes, no, I see you, I notice you, you're here. But it's the only time it's touched on again, which is cool. I'm glad that they referenced that again, but I want to know about the FBI program. Tell me more about the feds. Here's an idea. Boom Comics, if you want to do something, do a spin-off about these FBI agents who are invisible, who are assassinating people. I think that would be cool. I think there's a story there. I think there's a premise there. You could have a Buffy spin-off about invisible assassins or spies and the adventures they go on. And I think that would be pretty fun. It's completely, they made it clear it was the FBI, so it's completely separate from the initiative. I think it's a missed opportunity to not do something with it. But this was Out of Mind, Out of Sight. I really enjoy this episode. I think it's a great season 1 episode. And next episode will be the season finale. But until next time, give us legends.